Welcome to Clapback Get the Facts podcast, where we are providing you with the information you need to know about what's politically impacting Black women across the country. In a world filled with mis and disinformation, we provide you with the real. If you're a Black woman, representing Black women, or in the community with Black women, we are here to clap back and give you the facts. Thank you for joining episode 23, Spooky Health Facts, What Black Women Need to Know. We will be sharing the facts and dropping gems, so let's get ready to clap back at the facts.
Okay, I'm here. Hey, y'all. It's Holly Holiday, president of Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote, and you already know what time it is. It must be Thursday because we are here clapping back and getting you the facts. Well, we hope to give you some facts. We hope to at least give you some information today. It is time for episode 23. If you can believe it, we've been doing this 23 times. And we know one of our key issues, if you have been a fan and an avid listener, as I'm sure all of you have been, then you know one thing that we talk about a lot here as part of Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote is our justice agenda. And one of the key things on the justice agenda is reproductive health. So this episode, Spooky Health Facts, what Black women need to know, the Halloween edition. We know that race and ethnicity play a major role in our health conditions and frankly, our health concerns. And so we understand that our community doesn't have as much information as they need, especially Black women, about things that they need to be concerned about, especially as we age, and about our own bodies, and particularly reproductive health and women's health. We also recognize that a lot of times when we do seek medical attention, we're often not listened to. The folks ain't paying us no attention, and they're not. They think that our pain, that we can handle more pain than other folks. I mean, it's just crazy and wrong in all the ways. And I'm sure, like you have experienced some very spooky, if not crazy things. So yeah, we've been talking about this election a lot, but we wanted to take a deeper dive into some things that Madam Vice President herself championed within her first 30 days of office, and that's Black maternal health care and Black women's health care, period. So today, we want to dig into that a little bit more. We want to talk about some of the indicators. We want to talk about our own experiences, frankly. And so I thought, hey, let's get the questions. Let's lead off with the questions. Let's have someone who is at the beginning of her journey kind of help guide this conversation. So I'm bringing up, you know who she is. You know her, you love her. Simone Henderson. Hey, Simone. Hey.
Hey, y'all.
Well, it's not going to be just us. We're going to bring in my sis. And I'm so excited that she's here because she is going to help me stay on track, I'm sure. And that is my sister, Chantel Mullen. Hey, Chantel. Hey. Oh, there you
there
are.
I am.
Hey.
Hey, and wait a minute. I'm helping you. You need to help me.
Oh, Lord. Well, that's the first thing to be scared about.
Yes.
Okay, the mind, listen, is to hurry up and get some help because you ain't gonna know when you're gonna need it. And trust me, your mind starts coming up with all kind of crazy and different things. So we gonna help each other. Simone, kick us off.
Absolutely. So thank y'all for indulging me in yet another idea this week. And so I really wanted to talk to y'all, as we mentioned, our justice agenda. And I think it's really important to hear about what that journey looks like. I think we spend a lot of time with it being focused in abortion or birth control or the process of giving birth, but we don't necessarily talk about what our reproductive health looks like as we go through life. And so I just really wanted to have that conversation with y'all today so we can learn some things.
We about
So,
to see.
so what is so as y'all gone through life, what are some of the things or what are some of the spookiest facts that y'all were like, why didn't anyone tell me this is how things were gonna go? This is how this was gonna change.
Oof,
Well,
Lord.
Holly, you gonna kick us off, or you want me to start?
I'm gonna let you start, girl.
Well, the one thing that we hear it because it's across the spectrum. And I know we're talking about health and maybe some stuff that happens as you get older, but there's something that I think happens consistently across the spectrum, and it doesn't get any better even with age. That the healthcare providers don't listen to you. They are not hearing your concerns. So, like, for example, I have small rolling veins. I'm really hard to stick. I will go into an office and I will say, hey, let me just tell you this before you get started. I'm going to need you to do A, B, and C. I need you to bring somebody who's really experienced. And, I always get somebody who will say, let me just check anyway. And I'm like, girl, I've had these arms for how many years? And I've been going consistently to the doctor with me for how many years? And I just met you. Why don't you listen? So I think listening is one of those things that no matter where in our healthcare journey, we are truly not being listened to. When we talk about our experiences and when we talk about what's happening with our body and people aren't hearing what's happening to us. The other thing I would say to folks is keep a notebook. Because I swear you're not going to remember. You need to write it down, and they're going to ask you the same little raggedy questions over and over, and you're going to fill out those pads and give them answers, but they still ask you the same stuff, but you're not going to remember what medicine you're taking. You're not going to remember the name. You're not going to remember the dosage. And I guarantee you, once you turn a certain age, you need to start thinking about vitamins. There might be some medicine that you have to take routinely. You're gonna have to get those maintenance things happening, like, probably in the last 6-7 years, I started taking flu shots. I never took flu shots before. And I was like, man, let me go and get this flu shot. So your perspective on healthcare is going to change, and your relationship to it is going to change, particularly as you need to go to the doctor more often, and you have to start having specialists. Because, young folks, y'all going to the general practitioner. Us more seasoned or sage sisters, we got doctors upon doctors upon doctors upon doctors, and they don't always talk to each other. So you have to be your own advocate. And I think one of the biggest takeaways is learn how to advocate for yourself. So
Holly, what have you
I can. This could be a whole 2-day show on everything that Chantel just shared, for sure. And I do agree. Like I agree. I think that it definitely starts early. And as you were talking about a notebook, one thing, and I say this for younger sisters, I wish I had a notebook or even a journal, maybe even putting it in your phone. That new journal app on iPhone might be a good place. That goes back to the visits that I've had with doctors over the years, right? The visits that I've had with doctors when I was 20, when I was 25, when I was 28, 30s, 40s. I wish I had something that records all of that. And even though now there are electronic medical records, which make it a little bit more seamless, The reality is I have lived in multiple different cities and had multiple doctors because I haven't lived in the same place my whole life. And that means that there's kind of gaps in my medical history. And to Chantel's point, the reality is you looking at me to fill it in, I couldn't even pronounce half that stuff, much less remember it. I can kind of tell you where it used to hurt, but it don't hurt no more. But I got this new pain now. That's about the level of my ability to communicate my medical circumstances. And yes, I would say don't be like me. Try to be more informed, be more educated, do all the things. But at the same time, maybe you are like me. And the reality is that I can do better, but I'm never going to be as good as I need to be in order to really make sure that I am getting the best out of my healthcare. One thing that I have started doing is making the doctor send me a copy of my medical records after every visit. Because honestly, even if I'm taking notes, I can't spell all that crap. I don't even know what the hell it is. Half the time I'll be spelling it all wrong. I had a situation where I did write some stuff down and I was on some medication and I spelled it all wrong and it turned out to be a whole different kind of medication. I damn near killed myself. So I said, you know what? How about they done already typed this stuff into a file somewhere? You send me a copy of what you did. And I've had some pushback even from that, which is amazing. I said, well, wait a minute, whose record is it? Is it my record or is it your record? Maybe at the least of which is our record, but in my mind is my record. So send me my property, But I do agree it's helpful to be an advocate, but also because many times when we are going to a doctor, it feels very vulnerable. You may be naked, you may be in pain, you may not have the ability or the will to have to fight. You're fighting your own body. You don't have the strength to fight your medical care provider as well. And in this case, I highly recommend an advocate. I'm going to tell you right now, my advocate in all things is my best friend. When I don't think I can manage it or help it or whatever, even if she can't go with me because she lives in a whole nother state, I will call her ass up on the phone and be like, you listening in? Or again, I have them send my medical records and I send them to her. I follow up with her immediately and I say, okay, what am I supposed to be doing next? Because she's a person who I know has advocated very well for other people in her life, and she understands and has a chronic condition, so she knows what it is. Another thing is the National Medical Association has what they call a patient's bill of rights. And I have long used this to kind of help prepare me when I'm going into doctor's visits, especially annual doctor's visits, because this is supposed to kind of be your preventative space. And sometimes if they don't see anything, then they don't tell you anything. Having that patient's bill of rights is helpful because it is a reminder for me to ask questions about certain things that may not be a problem right now, but there are things that I should be doing to prevent them from ever being a problem or elongate the time in which they might become a problem. Now, kind of on the healthcare side of things, just to be completely honest, for me, I wish this is like way too much information, but what the hell? I'm always a way too much information girl anyway. But I started getting my period when I was 9 years old.
What?
I know. And I'll be damned if I don't still have freaking periods. When the hell is it going to be over? That's what I want to know. Why didn't they tell me this was about to be a lifetime experience? I have no desire for children. Let it end, let it end, let it end. That's what I say. Now I'm at the point where it comes some months and it don't come. And I was talking to my doctor and a friend and they said, well, every time you have to be period free for a year before you officially go into menopause. But every time you get a period, it starts all over again. What the hell? That's some crazy. You want to talk about some spooky stuff? So now I'm walking around. I never know when the shit is going to show up. It just random. It might be 3 months. It might be 2 months. It might be never. Who knows? scary medical stuff that's happening.
You know, when I had this in mind, I reached out to one, and so many of my friends now have gone to school and have chosen the medical field. Majority of them, from how to help manage hospitals to nurses to specialty doctors and all the different things. So I reached out to them to get some input of like, what do y'all see in y'all respective fields? What spooks y'all about? And all of them are Black women in the medical field, which I think is very important. We need so many more of. What do y'all see that worries y'all? And one of the feedback that I got that kind of hit me was they said many women in their 20s find out they have high blood pressure, which later develops into cardiovascular disease, which is why it's so important not to stress, eat a balanced diet, and see the doctor. And then she followed up and she said, I know this because I have high blood pressure. We are both 26. And my response was, same. Why didn't I know that? I also have high blood pressure. And Holly, as you said it, I responded, I said, yeah, they put me on and tried to spell the name and in parentheses said, well, however that spell, you know, I can't spell it. She goes, oh, same. And so it brought back to, and I just remember my doctor, I went in and I was on a call or on a work call. And she was like, I'm going to take your blood pressure. I was like, you don't want to do that. That's not what you want to do. I'm pretty sure it's going to be high right now. Let me end this phone call real quick and then you should take it. She was like, no, it can't possibly be that bad. I'm going to go ahead and take it. That woman took my blood pressure 3 times and then took me next door to do an EKG. It was the
wow.
Like, I don't know how you're sitting here right now. And I was like, ma'am, I feel perfectly fine. And the thing that stood out to them that I say kind of spooks me and my parents and everything like that is I then went through and they asked me, you know, do you get headaches? I was like, no, I don't get headaches at all. Well, do you feel like you're going to get a nosebleed? No, not at all. And then they're like, okay, well, we should do blood work because something's going to give an indication that this is here. All blood work, fine, no symptoms. So you can literally be walking around and feel none of these things, but it still be there, it still be present. And I'm just attributing like, oh, I'm laughing it off. Oh, it just worked. It's just another phone call. Well, it'll be fine. She's like, no, I should put you, and this started when I was 23. She was like, you should walk out of here on 2 or 3 different medications.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, but I'm going
to. You know, listen, first of all, blood pressure is nothing to fool around with.
Yeah.
It's scary that you have high blood pressure at your age and I don't at my age. But I do think that, you know, I don't know. This is not a fact, but I think that this also falls into the category things that they don't really talk to you about. And that is you really have to think about the totality of your health. And I think that we are seeing a lot more young people with high blood pressure issues because of certainly diet. We're eating like trash, although young people are eating healthier than I ate when I was their age, but also stress and the stress management. And I think that is how we need to be. We need to recognize the connection between our mental health and our physical health. And I'll be honest, our spiritual health. On our emotional health. And so we have to be more proactive, I think, in seeing professionals that can help us manage all of that so that the whole and the physical vessel of our bodies is as well. But you can't have one without the other. Now, I will say this, and not along with the spooky, scary things that happen as an old person, I think it was somewhere north of 40. I cannot pinpoint the exact age or day, but there was this moment when I was asleep and I opened my eyes and I stood up and I realized that my mind and my body are not in alignment. And that means that my mind had visions of all these things that would be possible in my life. And my body was not on board. And that was everything from, am I going to be able to stretch, stand, walk, run? Am I going to be able to withstand this, that, or the third? And so I do think that kind of having that whole wellness program from as early as possible helps you to keep your whole self in alignment. Because I will say more and more, I have these ideas and visions of what is possible for me in my physical body that my brain ain't fully communicated to my body, and my body ain't fully communicated back to my mind, sister. That ain't happening.
Well, one of the things that they don't tell you is your body is going to change drastically every time you hit a new decade. And so seriously, you could be 29 and running, and you wake up at 30 and you like, whoo, what's that pain?
That part.
But
then your mind tells you, but girl, you can still run.
Right.
And then you start running and you realize that you ain't moved.
and it becomes important that, one, you recognize like factors that contribute to your health. And I think we hear it in these catchy little slogans like sitting is the new smoking. I never really thought about that. Because by the time people really started talking about that, I had come out of the office and I was working from home. And the thing is, when you work from home, some days I'd be sitting in the chair. Some days I'd sit on the couch. Some days I'd sit in the bed. I actually started sitting in the floor and working because I saw this documentary that talked about how if you sat in a chair and you spent the majority of your time in the chair, it did these things to your hips and it made you weaker. And so people who would get up off the floor would use a different muscle set and it would help you with balance. And so I just put a little desk in the floor and I would sit in the floor and work. So when I, had to get up and go to get some water or go to the bathroom or just get up, period, I was getting up off the floor versus getting up out of the chair. And I promise you, if you do this, you will feel a difference. Because it really takes a whole different muscle set and mindset to get up off that floor versus getting up out of a chair.
Girl, I needed you to tell me that a decade ago. I don't think I can get my ass on the floor and up now. It's too late for me. So please listen to Chantel so you don't have the problem I got.
When you said sit on the floor, my hips started hurting.
Right. And stretching is so much more important than we know. And exercise, we think, oh, we got to go run, but it's really, we need to be moving because we don't realize how sedentary we are.
That's
and
right.
Some of us come from being athletes and doing this and doing that. So I think our doctors tell us to do it, but we really should be more forceful. But actually, it should be part of our healthcare plan. And a lot of healthcare providers are going to things that encourage, and they're going to rewards based, incentive based. Oh, join this and we'll give you something. Join this. And people do. I found myself doing some of the incentive programs because I would get a prize or I would get a gift card, because I walked anyway. But as you continue to age, you really need to think about how you need to adjust your lifestyle to accommodate for your health. And really and truly, you need to decide how healthy do you want to be. The other thing that I would add in this conversation is you need to start talking to your family. Because I was at the table with some family members and we were having this conversation about our medical history. And they were like, well, does so-and-so have this? And they were like, yeah. And they were like, well, I've been putting this answer as no. for a long time. And I think about my own self. There's something that I've been answering no that I just found out. I was like, what? You gotta, we don't have these conversations with our folks to find out what's our real history, and I know there can be some bombshells in there because sometimes you ain't getting no history because folks don't want you to know no history for real. But you really should know your medical history because there are things that you can do from a preventative basis that you can't do if you don't know what's happening. And so particularly for Black women who have such poor health outcomes, we really got to advocate for ourselves, and we really need to be armed with as much information as possible. And Holly, I love the thing that you said about the what was the document you said? I was about to say Patient Bill of Rights. Can we send that out? Because I think
it's available. I haven't checked lately, but I got it from, I went to I'm forever at a freaking conference. But the National Medical Association, which is of course the Black Medical Association, because I go to them first, had put out, and I'm sure you can probably get it online, but they had put out what they called a Patient Bill of Rights, because they were recognizing at the time how frequent it was that we would go to the doctors and then not get the services that we should be getting. In fact, there was even amongst their own professionals, they would have to fight for patients because they would observe where doctors were not giving them the same level of care. So yeah, I'm going to check that. I'm going to try to find that. Actually, the former president of the National Medical Association is in my sorority chapter. So I'm going to reach out to her. I know, right? I'm going to reach out to her and see if she can share that. And maybe we can post that as part of our resources with our podcast, because it is really, really helpful. And here's an interesting thing. As part of that seminar, one of the reasons I started using it is because what I realized, what they shared was that in actuality, medical schools and the training programs were training doctors to use a protocol that was different. And so it's not just bias from the point of the doctor. It's bias in the systems, because the systems are not set up to ask you the right types of questions. They're not set up to ask you different kinds of questions if you don't have a full read on your medical history, for lots of different reasons. You may or may not have a relationship with your parents, and therefore don't have a relationship with their whoever. You may have never known anything about your grandparents, and those kinds of situations happen a lot more often in the Black community. So you can't even provide an accurate medical history. You may not even, we tend to trust doctors less. So our own personal medical history may be splotchy. We go in and off of insurance, in and off of the ability to pay for services. We use emergency room services more than we should for our regular doctor treatments. Is because we don't have this kind of access. So the Patient Bill of Rights, I agree, is an important tool to have in your patient toolkit.
I was going to say something that both of y'all have hit on is, how, weight can fluctuate, or all these things change as we get older. And something that brought me back to it was a lot of the things associated with menopause. And like you said, Chantel, from one decade to the next, your body feels different.
But as day to the next.
Yeah.
But as your reproductive health evolves, because I think And please, correct me if y'all think I'm wrong, but I think we stopped thinking about reproductive health, but there still are reproductive organs. Like we may not be able to reproduce, but they are still there and they still have an impact on our overall health. Brain fog to hot flashes, to just the quality of life that you live, your ability to lose weight, maintain all of that, your bones becoming weaker because you're producing less. All of those things contribute. And it's thinking about how do we have this conversation about reproductive health care as women get older, and how do we center that?
Well, I want to say two things before I forget. First is it's all connected, right? Before I forget with my menopause brain, the first point I'd like to make is as I said before, it's all connected. So not only is your mental, spiritual, and physical health connected, but all of these maladies could possibly be, and for many of us are happening, all in one body. And so there is a connection between one thing and the other. You cannot have something like, you can't say, oh, I have diabetes and think that diabetes is not going to have an impact on blood pressure. Or, that you have, maybe you have or are fighting one of the unfortunately many chronic diseases and think that doesn't impact my eyesight. Everything is connected to each other. And so it is important to kind of have that as an understanding and ask the questions that help you to understand the connectivity between all of the possible things going on in your body. And I think when you do, you're less likely to get misdiagnosed, and that happens so often. And listen, so many symptoms can lead to 5,000 different things. If you have general symptoms like, let's say, stomach cramp and fatigue, stomach cramp and fatigue could be one of 5,000 different diagnoses, and your doctors are really just doing the best that they can to try to isolate them. But if you are also clear and understand some of the ways that these things interconnect, I think you have a better shot at having a fuller understanding of what's going on. I would also say this in terms of, in terms of just aging. My mother and I are having very different aging experiences. So I would also say that I'm having experiences that actually more mirror her mother's experiences. Like she doesn't, like I have arthritis. She doesn't have arthritis. She has a little arthritis in her hands. I'm experiencing it the way my grandmother experiences, which is really in my lower extremities and in my joints. She never experienced it that way. So watching her, she's never had hot flashes. I'm starting to get them a little bit. She never had them. So I never even saw that. That wasn't even part of our discussion. And it wasn't something she could tell me about because she didn't have them. She didn't experience it that way. There were many things that she has. She has pulmonary issues. I don't have pulmonary issues. I mean, so the other piece of this is that you may get some things that you see your parents have, but it may go back or skip a generation or do things like that. And so you may not have even any awareness of it. And so, just recognize that family history is important, but also shit happens.
That part. That part. I mean, we really have to, health is one of those things that once it's gone, it's very difficult to recover.
Yeah.
And I think, as we run around as young folks, we think we are, ain't nothing gonna happen to us. But time catches everybody if you make it that far.
Mm-hmm.
And so you really need to start paying attention to your health. Also, pay attention to what is fueling your body. Because you can run around and eat all these hamburgers and burn them off. But once you slow down, That's going to live somewhere. And so we, as women, I like to say we need to advocate for each other. One other thing that I would add to this is choose your doctors if you can. Choose your health providers as best you can. One of the things I like to do is, I have friends who are doctors and nurses. I'm like, who you go to? Because they know.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, they're not going to say, oh, that person is trash, but they will say, well, you might want to consider. And so I'm like, well, let me go a different direction. Also, don't be afraid to get a second opinion. Doctors treat people very differently, and know that there are multiple courses of action and treatments for the same thing. And so somebody may look at it and treat you in a much different way that may be better for you. So listen to your body. Don't let people talk you into doing something that you're like, I'm not feeling any better. This is not happening. Be okay with getting a second opinion. I was on some medication one time, and I was like, this medication I'm feeling all kinds of way. And I went back and I talked to the doctor, and the doctor was like, no, 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 no. I was like, nope. I went and found another doctor, and I told that doctor, and that doctor was like, no, you're not a good candidate for that medication. Let's try something different. And the problem went away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was feeling better. Because the doctor was just like, you need a different course of treatment. Doctors don't always agree with each other, and that's okay. They are professionals, but you are your primary advocate. And so don't be afraid to go and get a second opinion.
Yeah. I want to piggyback off something you said earlier too, as we kind of wrap up. And that is, specialists are important.
Mm-hmm.
As an attorney, I'm going to tell you, there are 1,000 areas of law. I do not know them all. I may have a basic understanding of many things, but there are areas of the law that I don't have deep knowledge of. And to be honest, I have no business, and will tell you quick, that I cannot advise you on that because I don't understand it or know it. If you want to ask me something about mergers and acquisitions, I got nothing for you. I don't know that area of the law. I cannot help you. I can probably refer some people to you who have knowledge of that, but I can't answer your questions about that. And the same with doctors. And one thing is, I have as my friendship circle continues to broaden and my exposure continues to expand, is understand that certain things really do require people who have deep knowledge. Your general or internal medicine or general practitioner, that's what they really focus on, generalities. Once they have isolated, or you have isolated that you have a specific problem, go to the specialist. Go to the specialist. Even if they think they can solve it as a general, get a second opinion from a specialist, and maybe two specialists. I'll give you, a quick story. I was having an issue in my mouth, and so the doctor kept giving me a medication to help with the swelling. Well, guess what? It ended up being a freaking dental issue. I needed to go to a specialist, not my general, even though it was kind of presenting as a pain here. It actually has something to do with my teeth. And I needed to go see a dentist. Well, my doctor didn't know nothing about dentistry, because guess what? That's a whole freaking different school. So you need to understand that sometimes you need to go to a specialist. And by the way, that includes medication. Pharmacy is also a special. So if you are having interactions, which I had a problem with that early in my 20s, where my medications were not agreeing with each other and I was getting sick, they kept treating the symptoms. And as it turned out, it was actually the drug interaction that they were not as versed in. Who caught it? The freaking pharmacist. How did they catch it? Because one day I went and I happened to be getting the drugs at the same time, and they were like, "Wait a minute, are you taking both of these?" No. That ain't good. So these are the kind of things that you really need to know. And so understand and recognize, I think we sometimes put too much stock in a doctor instead of maybe you need to be convening a board of advisors doctors that can give you different perspective on different things. That's all. That's my word. I don't know if I know anything else, but those are my thoughts.
No, but I think that's a good place to land on because, just like we need a sister circle, you need a doctor circle.
How about it?
Because you need to make sure that your circle is all talking to each other. And they know, because there may be something happening that this doctor is seeing that this doctor needs to know about. And I've had that happen. I've gone in for something and the doctor will say, well, have you had your annual treatments and your da-da-da-da-da, and have we scheduled this? And I was like, yeah, I told Dr. So-and-so to send it to you. They had not. And so you got to make sure your doctors are sharing that information, because it's critical to your treatment that they know what's happening over here, because this doctor may be seeing something that this doctor needs to know about. So
I wholly agree, because y'all know I tell you all the time. I think this is a great conversation, but y'all know I'm older than y'all. Not numerically, but
girl, stop.
I'm telling you, I'll have a hip replacement before all of y'all. I promise you, y'all know it will.
Don't claim that. Don't claim that, sister. Don't claim
Okay, what you need to do is go sit your ass on the floor, like Chantel said.
On the floor.
That's how when she said it, I grabbed my hip. I was like, if I get down on the floor, I'm not getting up.
Yes, you will. Just start practicing. Just start a little bit. Sit down.
You might need to do like me and save an hour a day to get up and get down. Get up. I got a whole hour. It don't take me but a minute to get down, but I got a whole hour to figure out how to get my ass back up again. Yes.
Look.
I did it. And maybe eventually you'll get it down to a half hour and then 15 minutes, and then you'll be super spry like Chantel and get it done.
Look, I found this influencer on Instagram, and he does all these stretches. So I've been saving his videos, and I'm like, man, after the election, I'm getting serious. I'm gonna start stretching. I've been trying to, do a little bit.
Listen, you making me want to stretch and stand up even as I'm sitting in this damn chair. So with that,
we gotta do better, y'all. We
gotta do that. I think that is the true call to action. Everybody needs to be aware and concerned, and we all need to figure out what are those ways that we can do better. And if it's sitting on the floor, then sit on the floor. If it's getting a new video, get a new video. I'm going to start by saying, make sure you at least have a competent is one thing, but also that you have a group of medical professionals in your life that you feel comfortable enough with, that you will share honestly and open information. Everybody's not like me and will tell all their business on the internet. So find the people who help make you comfortable enough so that you tell them the truth of what's really going on.
Yep.
I want to thank Simone for bringing us this very scary episode. I certainly am freaked out, spooked out, and scared. So good job and happy Halloween to all of those who are experiencing. If you happen to be a voter in Oklahoma, today is the start of early voting, and you only get 4 days, and tomorrow is Halloween, so you might as well go today. I'm going to be making sure that my little baby cousin, who's a freshman at Langston University, and all of her friends go to Guthrie, because that's where the early vote site is for you, all you Langston students. Go to Guthrie and vote today. Thank you so much. This has been another incredible episode of Clapback, Get the Facts. I should say a spooky episode of Clapback, Get the Facts. Join us again next week. We'll be closing out this freaking election finally. It felt like it was never going to end, but we are actually getting to the end. And you don't want to miss what we have to say about the election when it is all over. We got a lot of bonus content coming up for you. So stay tuned. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow to get all the things. That's it for us. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us here on Clapback Get the Facts podcast. We hope that you're leaving feeling more informed and ready to provide others with the facts. We would love to hear your biggest takeaways from this episode. So post the show on your Instagram story and tag us at Sisters Lead. Also, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, please leave a review so others can get some sense of the facts that we're providing. Finally, if you would like to learn more about local resources and other projects we're working on, go to sistersleadsistersvote.org.